Hello, it's March, and that means Happy Endometriosis Awareness Month. What the heck is endometriosis? Well, me, my blanket, my body that's been in bed for 3 days, and my hot water bottle are here to discuss this because when I first heard there was a march for endometriosis, I was like, I am not participating in that. That's very self-indulgent. But yesterday I listened to an audio recording by Dr. Cameron Nazat and Dr. Azadeh Nazat, and they created the March and Awareness Day and Month as doctors who felt that the immune disease of endometriosis needs more attention from the medical world, and that is something I can definitely get behind. So Dr. Cameron Nazat, I'm quoting their own page, has been called the father of modern-day surgery for pioneering the field of video-assisted endoscopy and considered as one of the best endometriosis specialists in the world. Okay, thank goodness for this person who is changing the diagnosis and treatment options for endometriosis. So for those of you who don't know what endo is for short, in my simplified terms, it's basically an immune disease. So even though it is a chronic illness, it's not the same as something else you typically hear of, like cancer, for example. It's chronic, there's no found cure, but there's a lot of different treatments. And it's essentially when there's tissue that's supposed to grow inside the uterus that grows outside of it. You can get small cysts or polyps that you may have to have removed, and it generally comes with a hormone imbalance and bodily pain on a daily basis, depending on how you treat it, really, really painful periods, and chronic fatigue is part of it. So it takes a long time to get diagnosed because, as Dr. Nazat put it, when doctors aren't trained to look for endometriosis specifically, they don't know what to look for in any of their tests. So, for example, I am now 35. I had horrible periods starting age 12, and I did not get diagnosed until about 3 years ago. And before that, I'd ended up in the hospital a few times a year because whatever medications doctors gave me wouldn't work very well on me. That's something I discovered through an iridologist, as discovered the cause was because when I was a child I had a lot of ear infections and I was given antibiotics each time, and that sort of overwhelmed and wiped out my system, so I don't react well to conventional medicines because my body had a lot of that at an early age. So a lot of people don't really understand that it's not just that I don't feel so good because of my period, because often people will be like, can't you take a Tylenol? And let's see, I've been through drug testing, a million different doctors on the most potent painkillers and new ones that have had all the recalls, but let me try a Tylenol. I've never thought of that in my life. Anyways, so I guess I'm making this video mainly because I don't really need people to understand me, even though that is a basic human desire. I want to talk to other people who have found a way to manage their chronic pain, or other people with endometriosis who are really exploring different options. I would love to talk about what has worked for me. Mostly for me, it's been dietary changes. I saw Dr.Kara Flamer in Toronto, who's a specialist, and apparently the best Canadian endo specialist is in Mississauga, I believe, that one of my friends saw. I've explored hormone replacement therapy, which is still experimental and potentially toxic, and I've decided against that. Right now, I'm learning what the difference is between, I'm not sure how to say it, laparoscopy and endoscopy. I am considering even though I had a horrible experience having a cyst removed when I was 17, I'm exploring getting the endometriosis that's currently in me taken out by this minimal procedure of endoscopy or laparoscopy. Apparently, when they do that one, they put a camera in you to see what areas are affected, but they can also potentially remove it at the same time depending on the severity. So again, endometriosis is really hard to diagnose a treatment after it's found because it's very different in everyone, and it is something that's affected by genetics, environmental toxins, diet, and chronic pain as well is very linked to childhood trauma or childhood abuse, and the body sort of carries that stress out and it manifests in different ways. So I'm kind of taking a huge holistic approach to treating mine. I met someone with endo while I was in college. I didn't know how linked dairy was to different types of unethical treatment of animals when I was vegetarian, and so it took me 2 years to go vegan. At the time, my regular doctor was telling me to avoid dairy and that would help my stomach cramps. I kind of put the two together and took the advice of someone with endo who was told her only options were to have a hysterectomy or to have a child, which is what doctors typically tell you, and they don't clear everything out and make the problem go away. And she went to a Chinese acupuncturist who said, start doing yoga every day to deal with your bodily pain and go vegan, and it helped her stop suffering daily. So that was my biggest influence. Iridology for me is everything, because instead of doing a blood test, an MRI, a urine test, a this test, a la 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 la, you can go to an iridologist. It is a science. It is not a new agey blah blah. Even though some iridologists do practice naturopathy as well, they kind of go hand in hand. But basically, they look into all the different parts of your eye, and parts of your eye are connected to different organs, and by the patterns in your eye, proteins and fibers, they can see what areas are affected. I've gotten so many answers that I've not gotten from doctors through the 3 iridologists I've seen in my life. If you need a recommendation, you can message me about that, or if you want to talk about it some more. So another thing that might come with endo or hormonal imbalance is fibrocystic breasts, and recently Melissa Ramos just gave out so much helpful info to the point where I was moved to write her a thank you letter, because doctors have always told me, oh yeah, when your period comes, you're going to get lumps. It's just from hormones and it comes and it goes. But that really doesn't give you much info. So Melissa Ramos, look her up for any women's health issue. She's amazing. She gives out so much free information you won't even get from anyone else. What else can I say? Right now, I have been in bed for a few days, and when I'm out of bed, I'm going to overwork for 9 days solid, and then I'm going to take 2 days off. That's something I really need to stop doing. I'm kind of realizing that with endometriosis, the amount of work you do, you need to rest an equal amount of hours, because for the last month and a half, I've been working 9-hour days on a contract for another company, and then I tried to do my own work after, and it's really pushing it. So and I'm really tracking my cycles through the Clue app. One thing I need to do is anticipate better. Like, I really like to overbook myself when I'm feeling capable, and then I kind of have to cancel things, and I feel bad because I'm not anticipating my own needs. At this point, you would think I would know, okay, I'm absolutely going to have to be in bed this day, so don't book anything around it. But I try to jam in as much things as I can before and after my periods. But, I don't really like it because I end up feeling like I can't be accountable, or like I'm being a little bit flaky. So I need to get a little bit better at managing that. So I want to talk to other people about what you do to manage your chronic pain. I don't want to identify with, having chronic pain as like a fun hashtag on Instagram, or I don't want it to define who I am, but it's gotten to a point where this is really a huge part of my life, and I need to kind of get a new mindset around it. I like to just accept that I have to deal with this without being sad or negative or losing energy over it. So yeah, if you're in the same boat, let's talk. And if you want to talk about different things you've tried for endometriosis, I've tried a million, let's talk. So happy Endometriosis Awareness Month, and looking forward to connecting with you.